Okay, what's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad and Empowerment Network. So let's dive into this one. Let's dive into this 110. So uh tonight, this evening, this morning, wherever you're watching from, we need to talk about something extremely serious, interesting, whatever you want to call it, happening in Trinidad and Tobago right now. Something that will potentially shape the future of rights, the future of law and democracy in this country. Because for the first time in modern history, the state is now detaining citizens without charge, using the emergency powers regulations of 2025. So far, 5 people, including alleged gang members, traffickers, and one ordinary citizen, ordinary woman from Dego Martin, are now being held by order of the Minister of Homeland Security. And we need to talk about it. We need to understand what this actually means. So here at 10, we're about education. You know this, my viewers, my fantastic viewers. So let's lock in. Let's dissect all of this. Like and subscribe. So these detentions are happening under Regulation 14 of the Emergency Powers Regulations 2025. Now, that regulation activates the schedule which controls preventive detention. The key line here is Schedule Paragraph 2. Schedule Paragraph 2. And I've made some notes. It states the minister may make an order directing that a person be detained if he is satisfied that, with a view to preventing that person from acting in any manner prejudicial to public safety, it is necessary to provide for his preventive detention. It also states that anyone under a detention may be arrested without warrant. May be arrested without warrant and detained in such place and under such conditions as the minister may direct. So let's be clear here, 10. Let's be clear. This is not a criminal charge. This is not a criminal charge. This is a detention based on perceived intent, not proven action. Perceived intent is based on perception, nothing here has been proven. I wanted to clear that up. So 4 of these individuals detained are alleged to be linked to serious organized crime, including firearms trafficking, illegal quarrying, narcotics distribution, and even an alleged assassination plot. If those allegations are true, nobody should be defending that. Nobody. You do the crime, you serve the time. But the 5th person here is different. The 5th person is slightly different. It's a woman detained not for weapons, not for violence, not for trafficking, but for something she posted on social media. So according to the state, she posted an image of the Prime Minister, of the Prime Minister's residence, and it's alleged she called for the Venezuelan government to take action. Reckless? Yes. Irresponsible? Absolutely. Insanity? 100%. Dumb? Yes. Whatever name, whatever phrase, whatever criticism you have for this person, I would agree. But here's a key point, 10. Here is the key point. It was speech. No evidence of action, no weapon, no plan, no attempt. It was a post. Speech. And for that speech, she's being held under a law designed for terrorism and organized crime. Interesting times in Trinidad and Tobago. Very interesting times. We've seen this happening in the United States recently under the current administration. And there's something the public should not forget here. There's something the public should not forget. The things people have said online about former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, the threats, the insults, the memes, the racial attacks, the calls for violence, they make this situation look mild. Nobody was ever detained. Nobody was dragged under emergency powers. Nobody disappeared into a holding facility because of a post. So, 10. The question here is this. If this law applies to speech, then why was it never used before? Why now? Why now? And why with this current administration? Because when the law is applied differently, depending on who holds power and who is being criticized, I remind you, 10 audience, it's no longer law. It is no longer law. It is selective enforcement. And selective enforcement is the first thing, is the first warning sign of authoritarian governance. So now, timing, of course, matters. Timing matters. This is happening, as you know, in an election year. We've only had the election a few months ago. During rising geopolitical tension involving the United States and Venezuela happening in the Caribbean Sea. Under a government already under scrutiny over transparency and crime, and without any public explanation from the minister using these powers. Allegedly, the media tried reaching out to the Minister of Homeland Security, but got no reply. So when the state, 10, when the state is detaining people without charge, silence in this case, silence here is not leadership. Silence is not leadership. Transparency is. We need transparency on this. We need clarity on this. We need clarity on what's happened here. So let me be clear again. Trinidad and Tobago needs security. We absolutely do. We need stability. We absolutely do. The crime rate is astronomical. We need control of organized crime. We need it now. But the fight against crime must never become the excuse to remove rights or silence citizens or bypass the justice system. Because once a government normalizes detaining someone, not for what they did, but for what they might do, not for what they did, but for what they might do, it stops being a democracy. It stops being a democracy. Today, it's a reckless post online, a stupid post online, an ignorant post online, an ill-fated post online. Tomorrow, it could be a journalist, an activist, or anyone who questions power. And once that line is crossed, history shows countries never get those freedoms back easily. So stay aware, stay informed, stay locked in the Trinidad Empowerment Network. I keep my ear to the ground and bring the best information as I can. This is interesting to me. For those who have criticized previous prime ministers and the things you may have said online about him, about them, you ask yourself that question tonight. Like, subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Stay tuned, stay locked in, look after each other. God bless. Take care. Peace.